Welcome to the Chase Challenge Week 28. Have you ever chased really hard after something and then somewhere along the line you realize that your pursuit is futile? There can be a lot of time wasted. There can be a lot of money spent, a lot of effort that just seems to go into the wind from chasing after something that wasn't worth your time, money, effort, energy. I'm here to encourage you today that there can be some good things that come from futile pursuits. And you might be thinking, what are you talking about? What do you mean? No, it was a total waste. Well, I want you to see in this week's reading that God gives glimmers of hope through the experience of chasing after something that reveals that thing that we were chasing, that we were pursuing, was worthless. Because the benefit of coming to that conclusion is that we realize that we don't want to chase it anymore. It is futile. It is worthless. It's not worth it. So when we get to that point, it's very discouraging. It's very defeating. It can be depressing, but it can be a wonderful place for God to turn our direction, our pursuits, our chasing after something that is worth it, something that is not futile, something that really grants us what we are truly looking for: satisfaction, security, the deepest longings of our heart fulfilled, getting to the end of ourselves and realizing that everything we're chasing is a waste of time can be a turning point in our lives. And this is what we will see in the writings of the prophets Micah and Isaiah as they write to primarily the kings of Judah. Ahaz is the main focus in this week's reading, a king of Judah. Right now, Ahaz is scared to death. He is feeling threatened. We're just coming out of a period of time when both the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah are experiencing a great deal of peace. But during Ahaz's reign, that peace is being torn away. Aram, also known as Syria, their capital is in Damascus. So whenever you see the word Damascus, just remember that's the capital of Aram or Syria. Aram is becoming more and more threatening to the nations of Judah and Israel. Eventually, Israel aligns itself with Aram. They come together against Ahaz, Judah and Jerusalem. And Ahaz is terrified. Well, God, in his graciousness, sends Isaiah to speak to Ahaz, who is not looking to or following the Lord, but God is still pursuing Ahaz. Isaiah tells Ahaz, calm down and be quiet. And he proceeds to tell Ahaz that neither Aram or Israel will be any kind of a threat to him, that very soon both of those kingdoms will be nothing. They won't even exist anymore. Assyria will take down both Aram and Israel, and neither one of them will be threats to Ahaz, Judah, and Jerusalem. Well, Ahaz hears everything that Isaiah is saying, but I don't know that he's really listening, because Isaiah continues to tell him that although Assyria will be the one to take down Israel and Aram, eventually Assyria will also come to an end. The prophets actually ask him, who will you run to for help? Who will you depend on? And Ahaz has a choice. He can choose to chase after and pursue the help of what makes sense to him to trust in right now. Ahaz is looking for security. He's looking for someone to save him. And so in his mind, what makes most sense is that he will go to the strongest kingdom, right? So militarily, Ahaz pursues help from Assyria. Religiously, Ahaz becomes enamored with the gods of Aram, and he establishes worship in Jerusalem that mimics the worship in Damascus. Ahaz is looking for salvation, for security, everything except the one who can truly provide it for him. He looks to Assyria. But does Ahaz get what he's really looking for? Does he get the security and the salvation he is hoping to find in Assyria? Now let me tell you, Assyria helps in a way. Assyria takes care of Israel, it takes care of Aram. They're no longer threats for Ahaz. Ahaz doesn't have to worry about them anymore. But in no way did Assyria come in as a savior for the kingdom of Judah. Instead of saving Judah, they began to oppress Judah. And they become a serious threat to Ahaz and an even greater threat to Ahaz's son Hezekiah. Let's switch our focus from the southern kingdom of Judah now to the northern kingdom. 12 years into Ahaz's reign of the southern kingdom of Judah, Hoshea becomes the king of the northern kingdom of Israel. 2 years after Ahaz dies, the northern kingdom of Israel's capital city, Samaria, is being besieged by Assyria. 3 years after it begins, Assyria captures the capital city of Samaria completely. They deport the inhabitants of Israel to Assyria, and then they bring Assyrians to live and inhabit the land of Samaria. The northern kingdom of Israel was no more. The land was finally taken away from them. The nation crumbled before everybody's eyes. God has been so faithful. He's been so compassionate. He has been so gracious, and he has pursued Israel and Judah for years. He's put up with so much. Why does God abandon Israel now? Like, what was the tipping point? What was it that finally caused God to give up on Israel? I want to tell you something. God did not give up on Israel. They asked him to leave. You see, God had spent years and years and years of trying to speak to his people through his written word, as given through the law of Moses. He was trying to get their attention. He showed them what to do to be blessed in the land, to enjoy the blessings and provision that he had for them. And then he sent the prophets all along the way as they continue on their trajectory, just chasing after everything other than God. God continued to chase after them by sending them spoken words through the prophets, which they also rejected. They told the prophets again and again and again and again to be quiet and to go away. Well, God finally gave Israel what they asked for. They were determined to chase after something else. And God continues to declare through his prophets that Israel's chase, and eventually Judah's chase after other things, will end in futility. It will end with a sense of them realizing that they were looking for security and salvation from something that could not provide it. And as we read this dark time in Israel's history, let us be reminded that though it is dark, though it is seemingly hopeless in so many ways, though it is tragic, the real tragedy lies in them never coming to a point of humility, never coming to a point of recognizing their need for God, the real one who can save, who can satisfy, who can give them security. That's the real tragedy. Them losing the land, them being deported, them losing the presence of God, which with losing the presence meant they lost the blessing of God. They lost everything that God was providing for them. But in losing his presence, his provision, his blessing, his providing for them, they would recognize that he was the one. He was the one worth chasing. He was the one worth pursuing. He was the one that would give them ultimate satisfaction, ultimate security, ultimate salvation. It was him. I want you to read. I want you to take it in. I want you to ask the Lord to help you understand what you're reading, because it's hard stuff. I'll just be honest. These prophets, they're speaking of future things that will happen within the lifetime of some of those who are hearing what they're saying. Some of them will be generations after. Some of these prophecies they're talking about, the root of Jesse, Emmanuel, God with us. Some of this will be into the far future, several generations. But some of these prophecies have yet to be fulfilled. Listen, some of these prophecies are things that are declared that will happen in our future. And that's why I want you to struggle through it. I want you to read it and grasp it. And maybe you're not going to understand it right away, but pursue it. Chase it. Ask him to reveal what these prophecies mean. You may not get it all at once, but it's worth pursuing. Seeking to understand these prophecies will be a chase that proves to be worth every minute, worth every amount of effort. So keep chasing, keep seeking him, keep seeking understanding through what he has revealed to you through his word. I have just a couple of questions for you in this week's reading. What did Ahaz's chase after the king of Assyria cost him? He really wanted help from Assyria. He really wanted Assyria to bring him security, salvation, safety. What did he give the king of Assyria? And the things that he gave the king of Assyria, where did those things belong? What did Ahaz do to the doors of the temple? What became of the worship of God in Judah during Ahaz's reign? The answer to my last question can be found in Isaiah 17:7 and 8. Who will Israel and Judah look to when every other security has been taken away from them? When they realize that what they're chasing after is futile and it doesn't deliver, what will be the end result? Who will they look to and what will they find? Keep chasing after the one who's chasing after you. I'll see you next week.